It is time for the long, heavily anticipated, heavily awaited HART Trophy rankings halfway through the season. I want to apologize for me not getting these out with the other ones. It took me a while to really come up with my list, to be honest with you, and actually have time to schedule this video and upload it. But here we go. This is my HART Trophy rankings, a little bit over halfway through the season. A couple of requirements here that I want to go over first. I am only doing one player from each team. So there may be a certain players who will not be in this top 10 that people are going to lose their minds over. But I just want to preface that right now. I'll have it in the description as well, that we are only keeping it at one player per team. Otherwise, I think this just becomes a very obvious list. And I want to shout out some other players who maybe should be on this list that wouldn't be otherwise if those other players were included. So I want to keep that in mind. Now, let's move into the top 10. We're starting off with a bang. And again, I want to say that the top 10, a lot of recent videos that I've made, I want to say that the real award actually begins at like the 5th or 4th spot in the rankings. But for this one, I wanted to shout out somebody who has been incredibly valuable to his team. If the Flyers do make the playoffs, he might get votes. But it's Travis Konecny of the Philadelphia Flyers. This season, he has 21 goals, 37 assists for 58 points in 52 games played. When you look in terms of forwards leading in points, Konecny is top 10. Konecny is top 10 in forwards in points. That is actually insane when you think about it, because Philadelphia is a team that, they're good, but they're not that good. They're very mid. They're a middling team at best. And I think that for Konecny to first off be top 10 in scoring is unfathomable with a team like that. And I think that he is a massive, enormous part in why they are even close to the playoffs. Because you look at that Philadelphia team, not good goaltending, not that good of defense, average, if not below average, forward core. And then you have Travis Konecny just lighting it up. This guy last year, I think, had just under 70 points. And he signed that big contract and everybody criticized it. Well, Konecny might actually get 100 points this season. And he will be the first Flyer to do that since Claude Giroux in 2017-2018, when he had that unreal 100-point season out of nowhere. And I think that for Konecny to get that done would be insane. And I think that if the Flyers do end up making the playoffs, because again, it is the Eastern Conference mosh pit right now, they could very well get in there. If the Flyers do make the playoffs, I think Konecny, I don't think he wins it, but he should get votes. He should 100% get votes for the Hart, because offensively, at the very least, he is carrying this team. And I stand on that hill. You can call me a biased Flyers fan all you want, but I stand on that hill that Konecny is carrying the Philadelphia Flyers right now. At number 9, we have a Boston Bruin here. It is David Pastrnak. Pasta this season, 24 goals, 36 assists for 60 points in 52 games played this season with the Bruins. I want to say that you guys know that I have not been buying into the Boston Bruins this year, but I feel like one of the real positives, and one of the positives that has been there for the entire season and seasons prior, is Pastrnak, because he is playing at that level above everybody else. The point gap between him and Marchand is insane. It's looking like last season as well. And I think that, yeah, he should at least be in the conversation. Again, I'm not really buying into the Bruins as other people might be. I don't really think people are either, though. I don't think this team is as good as they've been in previous years. But I still think Pastrnak, with the way that he's been carrying the Bruins, if they do get into the playoffs, he should at least get some Hart consideration, 100%. And I stand by that. I think that Pasta definitely deserves to at least be in the conversation, maybe not as a front runner, but as a guy who was in the top 10 for voting for sure. Number 8, and this one might be controversial, but I think it really all bars on if this team makes the playoffs, and that is Zach Werenski of the Columbus Blue Jackets. You might argue that he should be higher, but Werenski this season, 16 goals, 38 assists for 54 points in 50 games played this year. Again, I think Werenski has had a really good season. For years, we have been saying that he's going to get to this level, get to this point, and injuries and just the team probably not being as good really held him back from that. But this year, he has taken that massive step into a top 10, maybe even top 5 defenseman role. So I really like Werenski in that sense, and I think that he has taken that step. And again, I don't know if he's fully carrying the Blue Jackets, but he's definitely carrying a massive chunk of that team. And I think, again, if they break into the playoffs in what has been a just magical season from them, I think he should get a lot of votes. A lot of votes. I'm not saying he's a finalist. I'm not saying he's top 5, but I think he should get a lot of votes for sure. And there might be some people who are like, I think he should be top 5, should be top 3. But again, you got to realize that it all bars on if he makes the playoffs. If the Blue Jackets miss the playoffs, then I don't know about that. We'll have to see, though. Next up, then, number 7. This might be a controversial one, too, because he's a little bit lower than he probably would be otherwise. Kirill Kaprizov. Kaprizov this season, 23 games played, 23 goals, 29 assists for 52 points in 37 games played. Sorry, I was doing it the wrong way. He's played more than 23 games. But Kaprizov has had an unreal season with the Wild. The problem is, and the reason why he is not higher on this list, is the fact that he's only played 37 games, and he's likely going to miss at least another 10 or 15. He is out for the next 6 weeks with a injury, maybe even more than 15 games. I didn't do the real math. But yeah, he is going to miss a pretty decent chunk of the season moving forward. So we're going to have to really see there what comes of that. I don't think he wins it, unfortunately, because of the injuries. If he was healthy and still playing at the level that he was at the beginning of the season, then yes, 100%, I'm probably giving him top 3, if not the number 1 leader on this board. But I think that with the injury, and it sucks, it's out of his control, but I still think that above all, he probably falls out of the top 5, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Number 6 is actually a Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's not the Maple Leaf that you're thinking of. It is Mitch Marner of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Marner this year, 15 goals, 53 assists for 68 points in 51 games played. I think a lot of what Marner has done this season has really gone unnoticed. I think that Marner is having a really good career year and is going to make the Maple Leafs think twice about maybe signing him to that $14 million contract or whatever, how much money he wants. Maybe not 14. That's just me thinking about Mikko Rantanen. But I do think Marner has had an incredible season by all standards, and I think that it should not go unnoticed. He is one of the more underrated Hart Leaderboard guys that I think people kind of forget about because he's lighting it up this year, most notably without Matthews for most of this year and with line mates, I would say, besides Nylander, probably. Yeah. Anyways, I still do think, though, that Marner is having a great year by all remarks, and I don't think that should go unnoticed. Number 5, moving into the top 5 now, is a Vancouver Canuck. It is Quinn Hughes. This season, Hughes has 14 goals, 44 assists for 58 points. I believe he is one of 2 defensemen on this list, Werenski being the other one. So, again, first off, he was number 1 in my Norris ballot, so it makes sense for him to be on this list in the Hart ballot. And I look at Vancouver, it is a disaster. It is absolutely terrible what's going on there. The Pettersson versus Miller stuff, the Rutherford comments that came out earlier this week. By the way, if you want to see our thoughts on that, go watch the Nordcast. Otherwise, there might be a video coming out this weekend on it. But with that situation there, and for Quinn Hughes to first off be doing what he's doing, and the Canucks being just outside, if not just barely in a wild card spot, even with all this crap that's going on, I feel like you got to give him a lot of credit. A ton of credit has to go to Quinn Hughes with what has been done with Vancouver. And I think that if they do make the playoffs, he might end up being top 3. But again, the Hart race, I feel like, is just so close. It varies month to month, like a lot of awards. But I think that for the Hart, it does specifically vary because the number 1 has probably changed every single month for me when I've been keeping track of the overall leaderboard. So, yeah. Right now, I have Quinn Hughes at number 5, and then you get into the really tough part. The guys 4 through 1 are incredibly difficult to rank. Incredibly difficult. And again, I want to preface it again as we're halfway through the list that it is one player per team. So there's going to be somebody who is not going to be in the top 4 who are going to make people very angry. And I just want to say that right now. Number 4, Nikita Kucherov of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kucherov this year, 23 goals, 51 assists for 74 points in 47 games played. He's played a little bit lesser games than everybody else. Kucherov brings that standpoint of he's an incredible, very talented point scorer, but is also somebody that you just hate to play against. Like the Rasmussen trip the other day, that was a very interesting play. And again, he is a player who plays on the edge, and people don't like him for that reason. But I think that, again, like he has been in other years, he's been very valuable to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And again, still a big part in why they are staying in contention and all that. However, they are kind of teetering there. They are flirting with the playoff line. I do know that they have a few games in hand above everybody else, but again, those games in hand really only matter if you win those games in hand. So you do got to look at that too. But Kucherov at number 4 for me. Number 3, moving into the top 3, is Nathan MacKinnon of the Avalanche. MacKinnon this season, 19 goals, 59 assists for 78 points in 52 games played. He actually leads the NHL in points. Again, I want to say that Makar is not on this list. You should have pretty much caught on to that by now. If he's in this list, he would be below Hughes. But I still do think that MacKinnon has had, again, we know what MacKinnon can do. He's had an incredible season. He's likely going to reach 120, maybe 130 points this year if he keeps up the pace that we know he can. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how he reacts with Mikko Rantanen leaving the Avalanche. I was really thinking about that over the last couple of days. So we'll have to see there where that goes. But I think MacKinnon, again, it really kind of goes without saying he's had an incredible season, and I don't really think I need to go in depth with that anymore. Honestly, we know what MacKinnon is. Number 2 is a guy that we also know who he is, but it may not be the one you're expecting. Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers. That means McDavid is not on this list, and that will cause a lot of people to flip out. Draisaitl, 35 goals, 40 assists, 75 points in 50 games played. Again, I think when you're looking in terms of a more broad perspective, and if I were to do this with more than one player, McDavid would be on this list, and he'd probably be like number 4 or number 3. But I think solely because, again, I want to give other players shout-outs here that may not get shout-outs in other videos, and I think that it's more fun to do it my way than the other way. And you may not like that, but it's kind of how it's my channel. Leon Draisaitl, though, this season has been incredibly valuable. McDavid's missed a couple of games this year with injury and suspensions, and I think that Draisaitl in his replacement and has been playing, I think, for basically the entire season, has been just remarkable. He has been incredible this year, and we know what Draisaitl can do. I'm sick and tired of hearing, Draisaitl gets carried by McDavid. He does not. He is his own talent. He is his own incredible player, and I think he actually has been more valuable than McDavid has been this year, partially because he's played more games than McDavid too, and I just think he's been the better player this year. I'm being completely honest with you guys. And then finally, number 1. Number 1 might be a controversial one. Believe it or not, though, it's a goalie. Connor Hellebuyck is number 1 in my Hart Trophy rankings. Hellebuyck this year, 31, 7, and 2 for a 2.00 goals against average and a .927 save percentage. Hellebuyck nearly has as many shutouts as he does regulation losses, which is just crazy to me. It is still crazy to me to think that that guy has shut out teams almost as common as he has losses. Like that's wild. And I'm going to say this, like, for years, Connor Hellebuyck has carried the Winnipeg Jets in a year where the Jets look like they're going to be in contention for first in the NHL. They're going to be like a first place team in the league. I 100% think, wholeheartedly agree that I believe Hellebuyck should get the award this year. He should not only get the Vezina for the 3rd year in a row, or the 3rd year in 4 years, the 2nd year in a row, however many he has, but I also think too he should get the best trophy for the most valuable player, because I think without Hellebuyck, this Winnipeg team is still good, but they are nowhere near first in the NHL. Nowhere near first in the NHL with that defense in front of him. It's been better this season, but I still think that Hellebuck has carried a lot of the load in Winnipeg, and I think that this is his year to win the Hart Trophy. If there's any year that it is to win a Hart, it's this year for Hellebuck, and he'll be the first goalie since I think Carey Price in 2014-15, and I think that this just totally signifies everything we know. He is a Hall of Famer without a doubt if he gets a Hart Trophy and a Conn Smythe and a Vezina. Even if the playoff success isn't there, you have enough regular season success and you have a Hart Trophy, which is very hard to win in this day and age in the NHL for a goalie, and I think he deserves that award. So that is my Hart Trophy rankings. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you agreed with anything, if you disagreed with anything, let me know if there's any players that you thought should have been on this list. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video down below. If you did really enjoy, please do consider subscribing down below and joining the community that we are building here. We are rolling over the last couple of weeks, and I thank you guys so much for that. But anyways, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.